Did you ever think what you'd do if you had a heart attack alone? With just seconds to react and no one there, that split second can change everything. This video was made with care and urgency for older adults who live alone or know someone who does. Because here's the truth, when a heart attack strikes, every second matters. And if no one's around to help, what you do next could mean the difference between life and death. Now don't worry, we're not here to scare you. We're here to empower you, to give you 5 clear, life-saving actions that can keep you alive. Even if help is 10 minutes away, you might be surprised how simple some of them are. You don't need to be strong, fast, or trained like a paramedic. You just need to know what to do and act fast. If you're between 65 and 80, living independently, or even just home alone from time to time, this information could be one of the most important things you hear this year. It's not about panic, it's about preparation, and it's about taking control when it feels like you have none. Stick with me to the end, because the last point is something almost no one talks about, but it just might be the one that gives you those extra precious minutes. Number 1. Recognizing the first signal. A heart attack rarely announces itself with a dramatic scene like you see in the movies. For most older adults, the first sign is quiet, even confusing. It may start with a sense of pressure in the chest, not sharp pain, but a heavy squeezing discomfort that you might mistake for indigestion. That's the body's alarm bell, and ignoring it is the most dangerous thing you can do. Why do so many seniors dismiss this signal? One reason is familiarity. As we age, we get used to various aches and twinges. So, when our chest feels tight or our arms go numb, we brush it off as arthritis or a pulled muscle. But those could be early signs that your heart isn't getting enough oxygen. The body is trying to warn you. Another reason is denial. No one wants to admit they might be in serious trouble, especially when they're alone. It's tempting to lie down and hope it passes, but that's the worst choice you can make. If your heart is under stress, lying flat reduces circulation and increases the strain. In fact, it's during those first few minutes that damage starts building and time is your enemy. So, what should you do as soon as you feel that unusual pressure, shortness of breath, cold sweat, or nausea? Treat it like an emergency. Sit down, stay calm, and start taking slow, steady breaths. Keeping your mind clear and your breathing steady helps slow your heart rate, buying you precious time. Your body wants to panic, but you must not. Many seniors make the mistake of waiting too long before acting. I remember a man named George, 74 years old, who felt pain in his jaw and fatigue one afternoon. He thought he'd just take a nap and feel better, but that nap nearly cost him his life. Fortunately, his neighbor checked in on him 2 hours later and got him help just in time. He survived, but with more damage than he would have had if he'd acted right away. That's the key takeaway here. The first signal might be subtle, but it's not to be ignored. When in doubt, assume it's serious. You can always be wrong in the safe direction. You cannot afford to wait and see. Recognizing and responding to that first sign gives you a fighting chance, and maybe the very thing that keeps you alive long enough to take the next steps we'll cover. Number 2, coughing to keep blood flowing. It might sound strange, even a bit silly, but coughing, yes, coughing, can help you stay alive if you're having a heart attack and you're all alone. But we're not talking about a light, polite cough here. We're talking about deep, repeated, forceful coughing, the kind that shakes your chest. Here's why that matters. When a heart attack strikes, your heart's rhythm may become unstable. It might start beating too fast, too slow, or even stop for a moment. That instability is what causes many people to collapse in those critical early seconds. But when you cough hard and deep every few seconds, you're doing something very powerful. You're forcing your chest muscles to contract, which helps push blood through your heart and to your brain. It's like giving your heart a manual assist until you can get proper help. Now, this isn't a cure. It's not going to stop the heart attack, but it might keep you conscious just long enough to call for help or to get somewhere safe. That window of time, those 10, 20, 30 seconds, can make the difference between collapsing alone and surviving until help arrives. I remember reading a story about a 68-year-old woman named Linda. She lived alone, and one night she felt dizzy and started sweating heavily. She remembered something she'd heard in a senior health class. If you feel faint and suspect a heart attack, cough hard. So she did. Between each breath, she forced out a strong cough over and over, and it kept her alert just long enough to dial 911 and unlock her front door. The paramedics said later that her quick thinking likely saved her life. Why does this work? Well, coughing helps maintain circulation and oxygen supply, even if your heart is fluttering. It's especially helpful if you start to feel faint and can't get up. Think of it as your body's emergency backup pump. It's not a substitute for medical care, but it can be your bridge to survival. But here's the catch. Most people have never heard of this. And even if they have, they forget it in the moment because panic takes over. That's why it's so important to remember now, to mentally rehearse it. To know that if you feel faint or your chest tightens suddenly, you have one tool you can use instantly. Start coughing deep, steady, forceful coughs like you're trying to clear something big from your lungs. And do it until you can call for help, get someone's attention, or start breathing better. If you're alone, you don't have time to hesitate. You need every second you can buy. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Number 3, unlocking doors for emergency access. One of the most overlooked but critical steps when you're alone and suspect you're having a heart attack is this: unlock your front door. It might not seem urgent in the moment, especially when you're trying to focus on your breathing or dialing for help, but it can be the one thing that actually saves your life when seconds matter. Here's why. When paramedics arrive and find your door locked, they have 2 options. Either wait for backup to break in or try to force it themselves. Both waste precious time. And if you're unconscious or unable to speak by the time they arrive, they can't get to you without causing a delay. That delay, even if it's just 2 or 3 minutes, could be the difference between revival and tragedy. I once heard about a man named George, 72 years old, who lived in a quiet neighborhood in Oregon. One morning, while making coffee, he felt intense pressure in his chest. He knew the signs. His brother had survived a heart attack just a year before. George called 911 immediately, but before he collapsed, he had the presence of mind to shuffle to the front door and unlock it. That one simple action allowed the paramedics to reach him without delay. They later told him, that unlocked door probably gave you another shot at life. George still shares that story at his local senior center. He reminds everyone, if you feel something wrong, call for help, but also open the door. The problem is, when you're in distress, your thinking narrows. Your brain is screaming for oxygen, and your instincts go into survival mode. The last thing you're likely to think about is your door. That's why you need to make this a part of your mental checklist, just like dialing 911 or taking aspirin. If you feel a heart attack coming on, call for help, cough if you need to, and unlock the door. Even better, you can prepare now. Keep a spare key in a lockbox outside and give the code to a trusted neighbor or family member. Or, if you have a smart lock, make sure someone else can open it remotely. Preparation isn't paranoia, it's wisdom, especially if you live alone. This tip is also important for anyone who cares for an aging parent or spouse. You may not always be home when something happens. Making sure your loved one knows this small step can bring peace of mind, not just for them, but for you as well. So, if you're ever alone and feel that sudden heaviness in your chest, shortness of breath, or that sense of doom many describe, remember this. Unlock your door. It's the kind of simple, practical step that doesn't take energy or special knowledge. Just a quick twist of the wrist that could let help in faster and keep you alive longer. Number 4, chewing aspirin to thin the blood.